Appreciate you guys for tuning in. I'm your host, Gabos, and we back with another video. We got Tua tags, life is in danger. Feels like we've seen this before, bruh. Let's see how it go down.
Pressure. Tua steps up. He's going to run for the first down. And takes a shot to first. Split the seam.
I personally thought I'd be done with this topic. I mean, I thought I left this topic in 2022. Unfortunately, that wasn't the case. We have a very serious conversation that we need to have in regards to Tua Tagovailoa. One of the craziest questions of would you rather you could ask anyone in the world. So before we get to the content, we're on the grind to 1 million subscribers. We've been uploading each and every day since I've returned. If you want to help us get to 1 million subscribers, make sure you subscribe and turn on our notifications on this channel. And now that we get all that out of the way, follow me on Instagram at
we gotta skip the intros. We rock with you. We rock with you, Mike. Just not the ads.
What's going on, everybody? Tua's career is one of the most unique careers that I think I've ever seen. The first time I heard of Tua was obviously during that magical performance in the national championship when he was substituted in favor of Jalen Hurts. He'd be the starter for Alabama for the rest of his career, and Miami Dolphins fans
Tua was Jalen Hurts' backup? What? Damn, man, they both got paid in the league too. Wow.
So enamored with Tua that during the 2019 season, there were literally tank for Tua campaigns. And the Dolphins would get their wish, although not really in the way that they wanted it. Tua would suffer an injury during the final season of his Alabama career, and then he would enter the NFL draft. He wasn't the presumptive #1 overall pick that everyone thought he would be, but he was still within the Dolphins' reach, and of course the Dolphins selected him over Justin Herbert with the #5 overall pick. From there, Tua's career was very tumultuous, because he didn't get along.
What? Now, granted, I'm not in the scouting room. None of us are, boys. But I would just look at the metrics, man. Like, Tua is what? 190, 200 on a good day. 5'9", 10. Not mobile. Over Herbert, who's like 6'3", 215. Whew. This could have been Herbert. With Hill and Waddle? Damn.
With his head coach at the time,
I'm not going to pause it too much.
You have a terrible person that's telling you things that you don't want to hear. You're going to start to believe that about yourself. And so that's sort of like what ended up happening.
And you could also tell when he was mic'd up with Brian Flores, it didn't really seem like the two had the greatest relationship.
All right, yep. You're going to get right back in this.
Yep, yep.
All right, one at a time.
Yep.
All right, nice job.
Yep.
Which one do you like? Because I like the one that you think will get us a touchdown. So think about that.
Okay, then I'm going to go left hash.
All right.
And throughout his first 2 seasons in his NFL career, there were rumors that the Miami Dolphins were potentially considering trading for Deshaun Watson, which is kind of crazy if you look back upon it, because the Dolphins were hoping that they could get a quarterback with a huge arm that could stretch the field. That was also a dual threat QB. And ultimately, we know what would happen to Deshaun Watson, and we have a video on that I highly recommend you check out because there's new allegations against him. Whereas Tua has played some of his best football of his career ever since the Miami Dolphins hired Mike McDaniel. And to be honest, Mike McDaniel has been awesome when it's come to defending Tua. Whether it's defending him from the typical system quarterback allegations,
maybe even many quarterbacks would excel, would flourish, would be near the top of the passer rater leading MVP candidate. What, if any, pushback is there relative to, wait, no, hold on. Tua is a little different.
Let's push this podium over. My answer to that would be who the F cares, because it is a team.
Or the fact that when he was hired, Mike McDaniel created a highlight tape
of
all of Tua's greatest plays and told him how awesome he was to hype him up. During the 2022 season, when Mike McDaniel was hired, and obviously now that the Miami Dolphins traded for Tyreek Hill, Tua's career completely changed. He broke out in the best way possible and was actually on track for an MVP caliber season. But the thing is, there was a lot of road bumps in that MVP caliber season, and he obviously wasn't able to play throughout a full season. During the first season where Mike McDaniel was Tua's head coach, in week 3 of that season, Tua would get hit really badly by Matt Milano, so badly that he almost stumbled and fell once he got back up to go into the huddle. Now, Tua would go back into the locker room and then return in the second half and then lead the Dolphins to a 21-19 victory over Buffalo.
We all know what that looked like, though. You know what I mean? Like, we're not idiots. We're not idiots. We know what's going on, man. There's way too much money behind these games. So if it's not proven that it's a concussion, then, oh, he was concussed? We didn't know that. What would make you think he was concussed?
Got back up to go into the huddle. Now, Tua would go back into the locker room and then return in the second half and then lead the Dolphins to a 21-19 victory over Buffalo. And at the time, if you guys remember, Tua blamed the injury on his back.
Kind of got my legs caught under someone, and then they were trying to push back, and then kind of felt like I hyperextended my back or something. And then on the next play, I kind of hit my back and kind of hurt, and then I got up, and then that's kind of like why I stumbled. My back kind of locked up.
Stop the cap.
But for the most part, I'm good past whatever concussion protocol.
Now, the reason why this was so risky is the Miami Dolphins had to play 4 days later on Thursday Night Football.
Against the Bengals.
And once again, on Thursday Night Football, Tua would suffer his second concussion. I'm sure you guys remember this one. It was really bad. I mean, so badly that Tua gave a fencing response. He threw his hands up in the air and he couldn't really move. It was a really tough sight to see. And this one play had the entire NFL completely overhaul the way that they do concussions. Now, Tua would return in week 7 of that NFL season, and he would play all the way until week 16, where he would suffer his 3rd concussion of the season versus the Green Bay Packers. And at this point, for his
why
3rd
does it like, bro,
of the season versus the Green Bay,
like he hits the ground like a toddler, bro. You know what I mean? How a toddler, an infant born, can't control they can't control their head because their neck is too weak. Like, yo, bro, is it me or is that how I just see things, bro? Like the way his head is smacking the ground, it's as if he can't protect him, like he doesn't know how to fall. That's what I like. It just looks like he doesn't know how to fall as a football player. Like, I don't know, bro, but this just looks so violent. Like, how many times have we seen this play? Quarterback rolls out the pocket.
Week 16, where he would suffer his 3rd concussion of the season.
Defender tries to get him from behind, hits him in the lower leg compartment. How many times do we see quarterbacks land on their front or use their hands to brace themselves? Tua just kind of spins, and I don't know if the defender spins him.
Versus the Green Bay Packers.
Tua just kind of spins, and then his head just like, bruh, control your, I don't know, man.
And at this point, 3 concussions in one season had a lot of fans concerned, and the question
That's
at the time was,
3?
should Tua consider retirement considering all the concussions he suffered in a 3-month span, 2 of which coming within a matter of 4 days? And it's a very legitimate question, and it's a very difficult game of would you rather, and it's very simple. Would you rather sacrifice your long-term cognitive health so you can become a national celebrity, play on a team that makes you look really, really good at the game of football, and potentially earn hundreds of millions of dollars? And well, Tua's parents revealed what he would rather do.
Yeah, he comes back, you know what I'm saying? And that's their guy, you know what I'm saying? I mean, they love him, we love them and what they're doing and how they're, helping him with his recovery and everything else, trying to get him back. Still going through his protocol, but man, we're grateful for them too.
And I want us to all be empathetic about Tua's situation because Tua has been playing football throughout his entire career. Every single sacrifice he's made has led up to this moment where he could be the quarterback of the Miami Dolphins. His career was almost destroyed by his previous head coach, and he lucked into a situation where he found a head coach that believed in him, that made the game fun for him, that created a system that resulted in him throwing for over 4,600 passing yards when he's fully healthy. Tua would take judo training at the end of the 2000 2022 season, the goal being that he wanted to learn how to take a hit properly so he could minimize his concussions, and the result was fantastic. He played in a full season in 2023, earned his first Pro Bowl, completed 69% of his passes, threw for over 4,600 yards, 29 touchdowns, and 14 interceptions. The Miami Dolphins clearly understood that Tua was their future at the quarterback position, so they rewarded him with a 4-year, $212.4 million contract. This man's getting paid $53 million a year annually in a state with no state income tax. The man is rich, filthy rich, and probably is never going to be broke for the rest of his life. But that wasn't an easy decision to make. Tua even admitted that he contemplated retirement.
I think I considered it, you know, for a time, having sat down with my family, having sat down with my wife and having those kind of conversations.
50 mil.
Really,
wow.
It would be hard for me to walk away from this game with
Yo, and here's the thing, bro. I ain't gonna sit here and judge Tua, because any one of us in his shoes, bruh. I mean, you signed a $200 million deal. I don't care what goes on in that field, I ain't retiring, bro. You know what I'm saying? I'm collecting every penny. I'm from around the way. I mean, I'm living here with something. 50 mil a year, superstardom, tax-free, like, warm weather, the bitches. Oh, well, he married, so. But the bitches, you know what I'm saying? There's a lot of pros. The con is, you know what I mean? You might, you know, CTE kind of shit. So it's like, it's such a hard choice, bro. I'm taking the dollars every time, though. God.
Who I am with.
I can't judge him. I ain't walking away, bro.
Son, I always dreamed of growing, you know, playing as long as I could to where my son knew exactly what, you know, he was watching his dad do. And, yeah, I mean.
Crazy gamble.
It's my health, it's my body, you know. I feel like this is what's best for me and my family, so.
Side note, even if he were to quit, retire, what other job is paying him $50 million annually? Come on, man. Let's stop playing. Let's stop playing. That money guaranteed, bro. If anything, he'll probably retire 3 years from now after that contract done.
I love the game of football. If I didn't, I would have quit a long time.
So now going into 2024, Miami Dolphins had very high hopes for Tua. They made some sneaky acquisitions like Jonnu Smith, Calais Campbell, Odell Beckham Jr., Jordan Poyer, in hopes of adding veteran leadership into the locker room so they could potentially make a Super Bowl run. They're in a very competitive division with the Buffalo Bills and the New York Jets, and they boast one of the most electric offenses in the NFL with a fairly stout defense to complement that. And they were very successful in week 1 of the NFL season and looked dominant as ever despite the craziness that happened with Tyreek Hill, and we have our own video on that if you missed it. But week 2 was a completely different story. Now, I don't know if you guys remember what happened leading into Tua's concussion, but for those of you guys that happen to miss Thursday Night Football, it went a little something like this.
Hey, bruh?
Yeah? Ah! Damn it! Ah! There's glass in my eye! Oh! Son of a...
So going into Tua's concussion, the Miami Dolphins' chances of winning looked very bleak. I mean, they were down 31-10, and Tua was doing everything he could to try to put points on the board for the Dolphins. Now, in the play where he suffered a concussion, he would scramble for a first down, and for some reason, he would decide to dive head first into Damar Hamlin's chest, and then would suffer another concussion. I honestly have to say, this has nothing to do with Damar Hamlin. It's not Damar Hamlin's fault at all. It literally looked like Tua just decided to slam his head into Damar Hamlin's chest. The result? Well, his hands locked in once again, indicating a fencing response, and he suffered yet another concussion, the 4th concussion of his career. Now, Mike McDaniel would kiss Tua's head shortly after, and then would say this following the game.
My thought was concern, and I was just worried about my guy, so it's not something that you ever want to be a part of, you you hope not to.
And immediately fans started to speculate what was going to happen with Tua. Could we see Tom Brady come out of retirement and start at quarterback for the Miami Dolphins? Most probably not, although it would be hilarious, but I think Tom Brady returning is officially out the window. The crazy part about this is the Dolphins felt so confident in Tua's health that they moved on from his contingency plan before the season started. Before the 2023 season, the Miami Dolphins signed Mike White, who had so much momentum as a backup, particularly because of his performance in the 2022 season in relief for Zach Wilson. The Dolphins literally released him 3 weeks ago, and that left with Skylar Thompson as the only backup QB for the Miami Dolphins. Now, Tua seems to have a concussion once again. We don't know how long he's going to be out for. I mean, they do have 10 days before their next game, but it's obviously a concern. Another option for the Miami Dolphins would obviously be signing veteran QB Ryan Tannehill, who was actually drafted by the Miami Dolphins. And Mike McDaniel even said that they plan to move forward with Skylar Thompson as their starter, but intend.
Yo, this kid is trash. I've never seen this kid a day in my life, bro. Couldn't put him out in a mugshot. Never seen him. Trash. Quarterback can't have, yo, bro, got no aim. He has no poise. He has a big opportunity, bro. He got weapons to succeed. Built like a wide receiver. Couldn't tell me he was a quarterback, but from what I've seen, garbaggio.
To sign a veteran QB for depth. But let's talk about outside of football for a second, because this is Tua's 4th concussion of his career. And to be honest, I think it might be the most frustrating concussion of his career.
Boy.
I mean, the hit against the Bengals was just very difficult to watch, and it looked like he was just getting thrown on the ground and his head slamming against the ground. But this one was 100% Tua's fault, and there's no question about it. I mean, if you take a look at this.
That's all I've been trying to say, bro. I put out a video basically just saying, yo, I feel sorry for the kid, but this ain't on DeMar Hamlin. This is on Tua. That was a low IQ football move to me, bro, considering you lead the league in concussions and it's not even close, that you could find yourself running, seeing contact, and not knowing how to brace yourself with all the penalties that the league creates to protect quarterbacks. If you slide, DeMar Hamlin knows he can't touch you. DeMar wasn't even going for the kill shot. Like, if you look, DeMar doesn't even dive into him. DeMar was kind of like trying to wrap him up. Tua's the one that caused this. I mean, I'm getting a lot of flack for it, but, you know, I'm going to keep it 100, bro. Like, I'm not excited that it happened to him, but it was just a low IQ football play for a dude that he suffered head damage in the past. I don't know, man. Crazy.
This play, he certainly has enough for the first down, and DeMar Hamlin isn't even trying to hurt him here. I mean, he's just trying to say you're down, but Tua leads with his head into DeMar Hamlin and as a result suffers a concussion. Doing this when you have a history of concussions and there's already a question of whether or not you should be playing anymore is ridiculous. I mean, you definitely should know better at this point. Now, on Friday morning, Mike McDaniel addressed the media once again, saying that he really wished that people didn't suggest that Tua should retire. Watch.
Do you envision retirement consideration being for him?
I think it would be so wrong of me to sniff that subject, and it's more in line actually caring about the human being. You're talking about his career, right? His career is his. I totally get how that's where people want to go to. I just wish that people would for a second hear what I'm saying, that bringing up his future is not in the best interest of him.
Now, before I get to people suggesting that Tua should retire, I wanted to address what Mike McDaniel was saying, because you could take it in one of two ways. On one hand, he's saying let the experts be the experts and evaluate Tua. At the same time, I think it's kind of ridiculous not to come to the conclusion that this is at least a discussion that needs to be had. I understand you're Tua's head coach, and I'm not questioning whether or not Mike McDaniel cares about Tua at all, but it's just a bizarre thing to suggest. Because let's say you're a fan of the Miami Dolphins, right? Wouldn't you want your most prolific quarterback since the days of Dan Marino to stay and play despite suffering his 4th concussion? Wouldn't you want your QB that led the NFL in passing yardage last year to stay despite his 4th concussion? I mean, it's so bizarre that this is actually his take, And it's so backwards in my opinion, and I'm a fan of Mike McDaniel. And bear in mind, I'm not saying that Tua must retire. I'm saying that this is a discussion that's necessary and 100% appropriate, given that it's his 4th concussion in a 2-year span, and 2 of those concussions came within 4 days of each other. Look, I guess fans are a little bit more sensitive to concussions now, primarily because you can see the damage that is done to players that suffer these concussions. Look at what happened to Antonio Brown. We have a full documentary on it. Look at what happened to Chandler Jones. He lost his job because of it. And the craziest part is, every single time these players clearly have CTE, fans aren't saying,
oh, this poor player, he took that shot to the head or too many shots to the head throughout his career, so he's losing his mind.
No, the fans and the media paint these players like they're fucking psychopaths. Oh, Antonio Brown was crazy all along. Oh, Chandler Jones always had this level of craziness too. So that's why fans are concerned. That's why fans are suggesting that he should retire, because we don't want to see this anymore. So I don't agree with this take at all whatsoever. I'm not saying Tua needs to retire. I'm saying it's a conversation that needs to be had. And multiple fans and former players are calling for Tua to retire at this point. I mean, Tony Gonzalez literally said on Amazon Prime's post-game show, it's so sad. The guy just got paid. It was great to be Tua, and it is great to be Tua. However, I'm looking at these concussions. If I'm him at this point, I'm seriously considering retiring from football. If that was my son, I would be like, it might be time. This stuff is not what you want to play around with. Andrew Whitworth would say there's so many injuries we can have surgeries for. There's so many things we can fix. But a head trauma and getting knocked out on the field, there's really not much you can do about that. You can't go to a doctor and say, hey, fix my brain and the damage I've done to it. And even Julie Stam, a clinical assistant professor in the Department of Kinesiology at the University of Wisconsin-Madison, said that there's something about the previous concussion that can make the brain more vulnerable, especially multiple concussions. The data would suggest that there is an increased risk of concussion because he had these previous concussions. How much increase? Can't really say. Maybe it's not actually that much. Des Bryant would tweet out, that's it. NFL, go ahead and do the right thing. Tua has had entirely way too many concussions. He needs to retire for his longevity health concerns. At the end of the day, I don't think the NFL can make a player retire. Players know what they're signing up for when they play football. They know the risks. There's an opportunity to make a lot of money, but you might turn into Antonio Brown if you take way too many hits. And it's truly a shame because Tua seems to be a great guy and he got a life-changing contract, and now he has to play one of the most critical games of Would You Rather with his life. Richard Sherman would say, I hope he gets to do whatever he chooses that he wants to do, but if I'm him, I think you gotta go home. Let me know in the comment section down below, if you're Tua, what would you decide? We have another video of how a hit completely ruined Antonio Brown's life. If you guys want to see a before and after of how he was behaving, how he was doing interviews before he sustained critical hits that altered his brain chemistry. On top of that, we have an update on Deshaun Watson, and it doesn't look good for him.
Okay, Mike with the heat.
Allegation from another woman, and we dive into all of that. I'll leave both videos in the end screen, and I'll meet you guys there. I'm your boy Mike. I'm dropping our mic until our next upload.
Sheesh, Mike working OT for the people. Know what I mean? Yo, listen, I ain't going front. I ain't trying to hear that shit, man. Retirement my ass, man. 50 mil, man, a year for 4 years, and I'm in the first portion of that. He rich now. But money make the world go around, man. I don't judge people, man. You know what I mean? I ain't a pocket watcher, but I know if that was me, I'd ask the doctor how much concussions I have left, okay? And base it on the amount of concussions he tells me I have left. You know what I'm saying? If I got about 3 more concussions, that's about 2 more seasons, okay? You know what I'm saying? But I'm not just gonna retire after this one. Nah. We gotta start playing the numbers game, all right? I'm gonna holler at you guys next video. This is Tua's life is in danger. Man, son, praise for the kid, man. But I don't blame him for keep playing. Where else you gonna get 50 million from? You better stop playing.